Okay, my dear students. So, the last class I was discuss about Unit 6, that is general principles and process of elements. That is nothing but metallurgy. That is nothing but it is metallurgy. Or so last class I was discussing about hydraulic classifier method. You know, last class I was discuss about the what is meant by ore, minerals, and matrix or ganj, and also it is a concentrated ore, and also the main first point hydraulic classifier method. Second one is electromagnetic separation. Now I want to discuss about examination purposes. Very important concept, Froth flotation method. Froth flotation method. Or else oil flotation method. Oil flotation method. What is the meaning by froth? Froth ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೊರೆ. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಸೋಪು ಬಕೆಟ್ ನ ಹಾಕಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಶೇಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನೊರೆ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಬುರುಗು. That is nothing but it is a froth or oil flotation. So what is the main principle behind for froth flotation method? What is the main concept? What are the first principles? What are the main principles? So here main the principle, the concentrated ore wetted by oil, dust particle wetted by water. So the concentrated ore wetted, wet. A cloth is wet like that. Concentrated ore wetted by oil. Water is wetted by dust particles. This is the main principle. You will get 1 mark. This is sometime this question can ask 2 marks or probably 3 marks, my dear students. So here the very important concept, that is the froth flotation method. Okay, just I want to draw the simple diagram. Okay, this is a big container. So that is a steel tank, that is nothing but large container. So large container which contain water. So this froth flotation method only to separation of sulfide ores. Only sulfide ores. Only this ore mainly can be separated by this method. For example, ferrous sulfide. For example, copper sulfide. So some sulfides can be extracted from this process. Sulfide ores only. When a large tank contains water, when finally powdered ore dropped into the tank. So here very important, it is not a biology, this is a chemistry. You have to draw sketch. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡ್ರಾಯಿಂಗ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. You have to just sketch outlook. So water is taken in a large tank. The finally powdered ore, that is sulfide ore, powdered. That is nothing but sulfides. Sulfide ore. Finally powdered ore. Dropped into the tank. And simultaneously we are adding pine oil, PINEOL, pine oil, or eucalyptus oil, pine oil or eucalyptus oil. The main thing is pine oil and eucalyptus oil. Pine oil or eucalyptus oil. So we are preferentially, pine oil, it is very fatty content, or eucalyptus nearly gida irutta, nearly gida adar enne, pine oil or eucalyptus oil, or xanthate oil, anyone, but we are using pine oil because compared to this xanthate oil and the pine oil, abundantly available in the pine oil, so we are using pine oil. That's it. Pine oil is abundantly available compared to eucalyptus oil and xanthate oil. So whenever powdered sulfide ore dropped into the tank, simultaneously we are adding pine oil or eucalyptus oil. Here compression is very important, depression is very important. Okay, so sulfide ore, it is added into the tank, simultaneously pine oil also added in this tank. When oil is preferentially wetted by concentrated ore, pine oil preferentially, and the perfect time, oil is preferentially wetted by concentrated ore, the dust particle wetted by water. ಈ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಏನು ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಪೆಡಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಫ್ಯಾನ್, ಪೆಡಲ್ಸ್ PEDLES, pedals, cycle pedals, or fan, pedals or fan. Of fan in pedals, it is immersed into the tank. So when immersed into the tank, to apply the electric field, paddle, it can be stopped. It rotates. It starts rotate inside the tank. It is agitated. Agitated ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಿಕ್ಸರ್. ನಾವು ಮಿಕ್ಸರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಕ್ಕಿ ನೆನೆಸಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಅಕ್ಕಿ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ನಾವು ರನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ತಿರುಗಿಸಿದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ರೊಟೇಟ್. ಮ್ಯಾಗಿನ ಕೆಳಗೆ ಬರೋದು ಕೆಳಗಿನ ಮ್ಯಾಗ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. It can be agitated to mix. When pedals, it can be stopped to agitate inside the tank. After few minutes, froth comes. This is called as froth. Froth come upside on the tank. The remaining particles, it settle to the bottom of the tank. So it is very easy to the distillation taking place. Then we can separate the sulfide ores. This is a very important thing. ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಒಂದು ಟ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ವಿ, ಟ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ನ ನೀರ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ವಿ, ಸಲ್ಫೈಡ್ ಪೌಡರ್ ಓರ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ವಿ, ಪೈನ್ ಆಯಿಲ್ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. Pine oil is preferentially wetted with concentrated ore. Dust particle is wetted by concentrated ore. When one pedals or fan fixed inside the tank, then it is applied to electric field, the paddles start rotate inside the tank to agitate the mixture inside the tank. The froth come upside, the heavier particle to settle to the bottom of the tank. Finally, the distillation, fractional distillation taking place. Further process. But in our syllabus, it is how can separate? That is, it is very easy separated by froth flotation method. You will get 3 marks. 2 marks in the process, 1 mark is principle. So many times they will ask, write the principle of oil flotation method or froth flotation method. Here depression is adding one more important thing. It is cyanide, potassium cyanide or sodium cyanide. It is a depression agent. Depression agent, that is potassium cyanide, KCN, potassium cyanide or sodium cyanide. Depression agent. This is the important concept. Next, some more having. Some ores having. Some ores having. This is the ore. This is the ore. Imagine. This ore is contain one lead sulfide is there. PBS. Plumbus. PBS. Plumbless. Lead sulfide. You know the zinc sulfide. How can separate? The one ore which contain zinc sulfide and lead sulfide. Zinc sulfide and lead sulfide. Both 2 sulfides present in one ore. How can separate? It is very difficult to separate. Imagine, you think it. So again, this concept, very easy to separate it, that lead sulfide and zinc sulfide. So same process, this concept, same process. So that powder ore, it is completely same. In this process, same. It can be, they are fixed in pedals. Same sulfide ores, both ores. Finally powder ore. Finally crushed ore, powder ore. Dropped into this tank. The same process, water is taken in the large tank or large container. Water is taken in a large container. And also powdered, sulfide powder and lead sulfide. It is mixed in one ore. That powder ore dropped into this tank, and simultaneously pine oil is added in this tank. So oil is preferentially wetted with concentrated ore of zinc sulfide or as well as lead sulfide. Afterwards, they are adding sodium cyanide or potassium cyanide added into this tank. Immediately the electric field is applied. When pedals start rotate, agitate to mix. When lead sulfides to form a froth. This is lead sulfide, PBS. Lead sulfide to form a froth. Zinc sulfide to settle to the bottom of the tank. It is very easy to separate. This is a very important concept. The one ore, it contains lead sulfide and zinc sulfide. How to separate? The separation of main thing is sodium cyanide or potassium cyanide, my dear student. Potassium cyanide or sodium cyanide. This is the important concept. About this, the froth flotation method, the depressing agent, compressing agent. So depressing agent, that is sometimes it is xanthite oil or sodium cyanide or potassium cyanide. Depressing agent, xanthite oil. They are using for this process. Which ore can be extracted in this general principle and isolation of elements? that is goes to only fourth flotation method. So I want to discuss three main processes. Already we have discussed, about the main important thing in the separation. So here one is hydraulic classifier method. There are three important concepts. Hydraulic classifier method. We are discussing classifier method. We are discussing second one, electromagnetic separation. Electromagnetic separation. Third one, we are discussing the fruit flotation. Fruit. Fruit flotation method, isn't it? So we are discussing very important these three process and the principle. So here principle, what is the main principle here? The principle is main concept. So here, so the important concept I was discussing about hydraulic classifier method, electromagnetic separation, and also fourth flotation method, isn't it? So here in a hydraulic classifier method, that method principle, the removal of unwanted particles. The removal of main principle is removal of unwanted particles by water. That is called as hydraulic or classifier method or gravity separation method. So gravity separation means the different gravity of ore and gauge. The main principle is hydraulic, that is nothing but gravity separation method. Gravity separation method. Gravity separation method. What do you mean by gravity separation method? The different gravity of ore and gauge. Gauge is matrix. Or matrix nothing but unwanted materials such as sand, rocks, glass, and materialism. That is the main principle. What is the main principle of gravity separation of hydraulic classifier method? To the difference gravity of concentrated ore and gum by water. This process is called as gravity separation method. This is the main principle of the hydraulic classifier method. What are the electromagnetic separation? Electromagnetic separation, I have two rollers, one leather belt or brass belt. So what are the main principle? The principle to separate the magnetic and non-magnetic particles. Separation of magnetic and non-magnetic particles, that is called as electromagnetic separation, main principle. Next comes to fourth flotation method. I talk now. Fourth flotation method, the pine oil or xanthate oil is preferentially wetted with the concentrated ore. Preferentially wetted with concentrated ore. Oil matra preferentially wetted with concentrated ore. Dust particle is wetted by water. This is the main important things about the principles and main thing. You will get 1 mark. Whenever they will ask you only write the principle, you have to write the principle, isn't it? So you know very well about the process. This is also one method process. This is also fourth flotation method. So we discussed it already. You have to learn. You have to read NCERT textbook. Okay, that is the main important concept. So next comes to method leaching. Leaching process. So here the leaching means what? I am telling now the very important concept. The leaching process. Process of, bauxite ore. Bauxite ore, that is formula Al2O3 into X mole of water. X mole of water means number of water molecules, millions of water molecules. That is bauxite. Bauxite ore abundantly available in the earth crust. It is a third most abundant aluminium. Third most abundant element goes to aluminium only. You learned oxygen is first element. Oxygen is first element. Second goes to silicon. Third goes to aluminium. Next fourth goes to iron, my dear student. Iron. The first element is oxygen in earth crust, not atmosphere. Atmosphere is nitrogen. Atmosphere is nitrogen. But I am telling the first most abundant oxygen present in the earth crust. Okay. So here, what do you mean by leaching process? That is the important concept. Leaching under aim. To leach, because this is a crude powder. Crude means kacha adiru, crude oil anta kariti. Crude oil, kacha taila. Idu crude ores. Crude ores which contain many components, many elements also, ganj particles also. Ganj, matrix, unwanted things present in the ore, rocks, sand, glass, muddy region, so many composition in the concentrated ore. Only concentrated ore, only to wash, dressing the only unwanted materials in the outer side. Adu lighter particles can be removed. Outer particles ಮಾತ್ರ remove ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. Dust particles ಅನ್ನು remove ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. The heavier particles like sand, stone, glass, muddy region cannot wash because those particles present inside the ore. Isn't it? So how to wash? So some of the elements can dissolve some of the solvents. Some of the elements cannot dissolve some of the solution. That is the important fact. ಕೆಲವೊಂದು solution ಮಾತ್ರ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು elements ಮಾತ್ರ. ಕೆಲವೊಂದು elements can be available suitable solvent. For example, sugar dissolved in water. ಅದೇ sugar petrol ಗೆ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ cannot be dissolved. This is the concept. ಶುಗರ್ ನ ತೋಡ್ರಿ, ಆ ಶುಗರ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ನೀರ್ನ ಹಾಕ್ರಿ ಕರಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೇ ಶುಗರ್ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ರಿ ಕರಗಲ್ಲ. Because which element it is soluble in their own solvent. ಅದರದ್ದೇ solvent ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕರಗುತ್ತೆ. This is a very important. That is the leaching process. That is the leach ಅಥವಾ ವಾಶ. ಲೀಚ್ ಜಿಗಳೆ ಕೇಳಿರಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಗುಂಬೆ ಆ ಕಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಯಾಣಗಿಣ ಹೋಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಲೀಚ್ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಇರ್ತಾವೆ. ಲೀಚ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಕ್ ದಿ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಲೀಚಿಂಗ್. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ರಿಮೂವಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಅನ್ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್. That is a very important thing. We took in bauxite ore, that is Al2O3 into X mole of water. So imagine this is aluminium, Al2O3, bauxite ore into the X water. So aluminium which contain the impurities as iron oxide, silicon dioxide, titanium oxide present in the ore. So ಈ ore ನಲ್ಲಿ bauxite ore ನಲ್ಲಿ which contain silicon dioxide, titanium oxide, iron oxide as a impurities. Impurities here. It can be leached for these particles or elements. So these powder, finally powder ore taken in a large tank. These aluminium bauxite ore finally powdered. That powder which also contains some of the impurities as iron oxide, silicon dioxide, titanium oxide. It can be separate because it is impurities present in the bauxite ore, aluminium nalli irutte. Now we want pure aluminium. We want pure aluminium, my dear students. So these powder ore taken in a large tank by adding sodium hydroxide, concentrated CON, concentrated sodium hydroxide. A powder ore na bauxite ore powder ore na large tank nalli tondu powder ore na. So these bauxite ore easily digested ಅಂದ್ರೆ soluble with concentrated NaOH, soluble in concentrated NaOH. NaOH concentration alli ivellavvu kuda digested andre it is completely soluble agutte. Depend upon the temperature, adike depend upon the temperature beku, depend upon the temperature and depend upon the pressure. That is the main important thing. Depend upon the pressure irbeku, depend upon the temperature. Pressure approximately 35 to 36 bar pressure irbeku. 576 to 673, 500 to 6 in between, or 673 to 783. Like that, depend upon we are taking the equipments. We are taking the equipments. Now, ಎಷ್ಟು process na large tank tondhivo, small tank tondhivo, depend upon the temperature. Depend upon the temperature we need. Here only 573 to 673 Kelvin temperature kottaga. Pressure ಎಷ್ಟು ಇರಬೇಕು? 35 to 36 atmosphere pressure ಇರಬೇಕು. ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲ್ಯೂಮಿನಿಯಂ ನಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಇಂಪ್ಯೂರಿಟೀಸ್ ಐರನ್ ಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್, ಸಿಲಿಕಾನ್ ಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಟಿಟಾನಿಯಂ ಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಓಡ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ, ಡೈಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವುದು ಸಾಲ್ಯುಬಲ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ when sodium hydroxide to form a sodium aluminate ಆಗಿ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. sodium aluminate. This is the important things. But here we know ಕರಗ್ತು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ. What reaction going inside? It's the main concept I am telling now, the main concept. So we are studying the chemistry. Okay, ಕರಗ್ತು, ಸಾಲ್ಯುಬಲ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ಡೈಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟೆಡ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಇದು ಡೈಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ಸಿಲಿಕಾನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು. But what about the reaction proceeds in the tank? That is the very important thing. ಈಗ ಸೋಪ್ ನೀರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕರಗ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. What reaction going inside the water? That is a very important thing. ಈಗ ಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ನೀರನ್ನ ಹಾಕಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನೀರನ್ನ ಕರಗ್ತದೆ, ಮುಗಿತು ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದು. But what reaction proceeds in the water? That is the very important thing. So these reaction, what reaction going inside? So very easy to tell. So when a bauxite ore, it is very easily digested in concentrated sodium hydroxide to form a sodium aluminate. Finish. Isthe heladu. What reaction is proceeds? What reaction is going inside? What is the reason of this important concept, reaction? It's a very, very important question, my dear student. Explain. Or preparation or manufacturing or preparation of bauxite or aluminum or alumina, singular and plural, aluminium, alumina. The hard extraction of alumina from bauxite ore. This is the very good question. It's a very important question about the extraction of alumina or aluminium while bauxite ore. This is the very important concept, my dear students. So this reaction, let us continue. The next class, my dear student, be prepared well. Okay?